Welcome back to this multiple game Pentagon challenge where for the first time, we're starting the season in Europe. There's no chance we're winning the Champions League this season, but we've been offered the Aston Villa job and it was one of those moves we just had to say yes to. They have the most ridiculous squad that I've ever seen in any second division, and this team is surely going to be champions and let us move to an even bigger club for FIFA 18. With a team this good, surely we can be the team that breaks the 2005-06 Reading team's points record. That team somehow reached 106 points from their 46 games, an average of over 2.3 points per game. I seriously think we can beat it, and to help us keep track of how we're doing, I've made this graphic. On top is the Reading team's results and points, and on the bottom is our results and points. This Aston Villa team was actually in massive danger of being declared bankrupt, so I'm also going to ignore the £25 million budget that we begin with, and I'm going to try and keep our spending to under £5 million of profit and loss. This means that cheap deals like this loan for Joe Gomez, who's going to play as fullback in our harder games, are going to be crucial for us to improve. We'll also sign this young centre midfielder from League 2. He's called Ollie Watkins, although I'm thinking his stats maybe do make a little bit more sense for him to play as a striker. We actually played Ollie Watkins in most of our pre-season games, and he legitimately outperformed Mile Jedinak, so despite being about 15 overall lower than the rest of our squad, we actually put Watkins straight into the first team for our first league match. Our first league game of the season was actually away at Hillsborough. This Sheffield Wednesday team are nothing special. They'll probably be around the playoffs come the end of the season, but we're not too worried about them. Reading actually started their record-breaking season off with a loss, so this is a really good chance to get ahead of them and start chasing down those points. We're not actually playing too badly in this first match, but it seems like no matter what we do, Rudy Gestede, Gabi Agbonlahor or Libor Kozak just cannot score goals. We actually miss a penalty, we make a ton of chances, we get into some really good positions, but this anxiety actually spreads across into our second game of the season as well. Sheffield Wednesday and Rotherham should be two easy wins, but somehow we miss a ton of chances and come out with two 0-0 draws. We're already behind Reading, and even worse, we're actually in the bottom half of the table. Our third game of the season is against Huddersfield, and they would actually go on to win the playoffs this season in real life, but finally, Rudy gets through, and Rudy Gestede scores a goal. Micah Richards and Jura Sakore are borderline cheat codes in the championship, and their pace and strength make them unbeatable, so finally we get our first win in our third game. The only way is up from here, and we actually finish August with wins against Derby and Bristol, but we actually get some pretty big news just before deadline day. We received a £12 million bid for Andre Ayew, who's a player we haven't even used once this season. We also see that Ross McCormack is back in the squad after his injury, so let's give him a strike partnership to end our goal drought. Danny Ings joined Villa in 2021, but today we're signing him in 2016. He's had a pretty bad time in his first season at Liverpool, but surely he has the quality to hit at least 25 goals this season in the Championship. Ings goes straight into our squad for a game against league leaders Nottingham Forest. We've got 3 wins and 2 draws so far, 11 points, which is actually more than the 10 points Reading were on after the same amount of games. This match against Nottingham Forest is going to be very important. Hopefully, now Danny Ings is in the squad, our goal scoring issues are fully behind us and we can start to go on a run and climb the table, maybe eventually overtake Nottingham Forest. Well, Danny Ings played the ball through to Ross McCormack for the first goal, and it was such a good assist. Having Ross in the team's one thing, but having Ings behind him is even better. These two are two of my favourite championship strikers of all time, and they play just as good on FIFA as they did in real life. This time it was McCormack who was the playmaker and Ings who was through on goal, but he could only hit the crossbar and McCormack couldn't quite volley in the rebound, but we were absolutely on fire in this game. Ings again getting on the ball, passing it through to McCormack, and another top finish from the Scottish international striker. Forget Forest being first in the table, we were absolutely gunning for that position. I think I said that Ings could score about 25 goals this season. Well, McCormack's just as capable if we can keep him fit for the rest of the year. Ings got a hat-trick of assists right there, and finally, Jack Grealish scores his first championship goal with Mr. Manager as the manager. It's a nice scooped finish over Vlad Stojkovic. I think it's fair to say that on his debut, Danny Ings is the one person that deserves to be man of the match. 3 assists, even though the game only gave him 2. We stopped Forest even having a shot on target. The entire team starting to perform, even Ollie Watkins. But we're going to need this form to continue because we've got some tough games. First up against Brentford, which we win 2-1. Next up was against Ipswich, which we win 1-0. And then it's a big game against Newcastle. If we can beat Newcastle in our next game, we can actually go top of the league, and hopefully we can just run away once we're in that position. It's a lot of pressure, and Newcastle are probably the only team with a squad anywhere near ours, but a win here would be absolutely huge. From our 2 seasons on FIFA 15 and 16, we've been successful having a very defensive-based formation, but even for this huge game, we're keeping the 4-2-4. We can't break up this front 4 of Adama, Grealish, Ings and McCormack because they just create so many chances, even against teams like this. It was a great chip ball there from Ings, and really McCormack could have found the top corner to give us a deserved lead going into half-time, but we haven't actually really talked about our defence that much in this save, because Okore and Micah Richards is just so good against championship defenders. Having fast defenders, strong defenders has always been massive on FIFA, of course. Tall, strong defenders make mistakes like that because they can't get their body across, they can't push people off the ball, and that's the kind of advantage that we have. We can get another advantage right now if we take advantage of this penalty situation. I don't know if there's a strategy to scoring these, but if there is, I don't know what it is, because that's yet another penalty miss for Aston Villa. I'm sure it won't be the last one in this video either. We got half an hour to go. We've also got Grealish playing through Danny Ings. What a position to be in, and that is not the right choice when it comes to the finish. We're going to have probably 1 or 2 more attacks left in this game, so when Westwood finds Grealish in the box, he was the man that could take his chance. McCormack couldn't do it, Ings couldn't do it, but Jack Grealish, the hometown academy boy, is the one that puts us first place in the championship table. It's only his 2nd goal of the season, but both of those goals have been so important to putting Aston Villa in first place. The referee blows his whistle, confirms that we have got the win. But the thing is, we actually go on a bit of a bad run. We lose to both Preston and Wolves, which puts us from being ahead of Reading to falling a little bit behind them. However, in the next 5 games, we catch up again and we're just 1 point behind where Reading were going into a game against Leeds. We've actually only got 2 matches left before the January transfer window. This one against Leeds and then a slightly easier one coming up against Burton Albion. But really, if we want to complete this challenge, we need to win both of them. Of course, we're going straight for the win, and it was pretty good news that just after half an hour, Jack Grealish would get taken down. But by now, you probably already know how good I am at penalties on this game. It's yet another penalty saved by Leeds, and that means we're going to need to struggle and try and get a goal in a different way. We nearly get Danny Ings in there. With a slide tackle finish, he could have easily chipped that over the goalkeeper, but couldn't quite make the ball. Danny Ings would get another chance inside the box, and it would be yet another great save from Rob Green. Surely Rob Green is the current man of the match. Well, Danny Ings could be now, because what a flick header that is in off the corner. I really loved playing with Danny Ings, and really, I've really loved playing FIFA 17. It's a lot better than FIFA 16, it's a lot better than FIFA 15, and in my opinion, it's some of the best gameplay that FIFA ever released. Anyway, we concede, and the AI is very ruthless on legendary difficulty. If you give them 1 chance, they're going to score it. We now have a striker up front that's missed a lot of chances for us, but in the 90th minute, we have a player who missed a lot of chances finally scoring a goal. We brought him on for Ross McCormack against his former team, and Libor Kozak does what McCormack couldn't, and scores past Rob Green. Thankfully, the game pretty much ends straight after the goal, and we confirm that win. We absolutely dominated Leeds there. They only had 2 shots in the entire game, but really, we're going into this game against Burton Albion fully expecting to keep them from having a single shot on target. That's how confident I am in this team. You can see how confident the team is as well, because Ross McCormack scores after 32 minutes. A really nice tidy finish there past the Burton Albion goalkeeper. A few minutes later, Ross McCormack beats their defensive line as well. Terrible defending there from Burton, and that makes it 2-0 just before half-time. I think we get 1 more chance before half-time. Adama Traore, he does a weird finish there where he stops to kick the ball, but somehow it works. He does the Antonio celebration, and we're 3-0 up before half-time. Nothing really happens in the second half, but Burton Albion do score a goal with their first chance. I'm so desperate to get one of those wins where we actually stop the AI from having a single shot on target. I can feel that it's coming, but we haven't managed to do it just yet. We're now into the January transfer window, and our players are growing so much, I don't think we actually do need to sign anyone. Jack Grealish, a 21-year-old, 77 rated player getting a bid for $5.5 million, felt a little bit insulting there from Celta Vigo. I think we'd need closer to $30 million to sell him at this point in the season, especially with a game against one of Jack Grealish's least favourite teams, Wolves, coming up next. Big derby this one. It might not be the biggest derby each team has. I think Wolves hate West Brom more, and I know Aston Villa like Birmingham even less than Wolves, but it's still a big game, especially with so many academy players. But I absolutely love that block by someone who didn't come through our academy, Jordan Amavi, preventing a goal with a spectacular goal line clearance. Danny Ings would be on the attack, and he would play a pretty bad ball to McCormack, but it would still somehow find him. And that was our first chance of the game. We've seen him score so many goals like that where he just scoops it into the top corner this season. That could have been a really important goal. Into the second half, and Nua Dicko, one of those players that seemed to be everywhere in the Championship 6 years ago, but then sort of did nothing with his career, nearly saw Jack Price score a goal, but with time winding down, were we going to need another last-minute heroic effort from one of our players? Well, Jack Grealish would find Ollie Watkins bursting through from midfield, and we would somehow get yet another penalty. McCormack runs up, we change direction at the last minute, and I think that's the reason we actually finally scored a penalty. We'll let McCormack celebrate, but I'm actually kind of celebrating myself because I did not think we would score any of the penalties we get this year. The AI loves to give them away, but they're so good at saving them. So that was the only real action for the rest of the game. We had one last attack, but we decided just to hoof it so that the referee would blow his whistle. After that win, we're now 43 points behind Reading for the record and 10 points ahead of Newcastle for the title. It's safe to say that we're going to get promoted, but now it's all about getting to 106. We've got 19 games to close those 43 points, but this is so much harder than it looks. From the 19 games, we're going to need 15 wins and 1 draw to break the record, which means we can only mess up in 3 matches out of the next 19. Reading themselves actually only got 40 points from their last 19 games. They also drew 5 games that they should have won, so 115 points is definitely possible. We should learn from their mistakes and make sure that we get to at least 107, and I don't think we actually do need to strengthen in January, so the last thing we'll do this month is play a game against Brentford. The first half is kind of boring. There's only really a half chance for Ollie Watkins, who seems to really like playing at this ground. He's playing so well that maybe we could loan him out to Brentford if we do get promoted, but the second half is much less boring. We go behind like 2 minutes into it because our defending was awful. They run straight down the middle, and now we're going to have to try and come back to stay in this challenge. It didn't matter what we try, Brentford were just way too good in the snow. They kept the ball off us in their defence until the last 5 minutes. Every bounce seemed to fall to them until Kikuchi would kill us off with a 2-0 win. There goes one of our 3 losses, and now we have to be almost perfect for the rest of the season. To be fair, we nearly are in February because we win 4 matches and draw 2. This is actually the situation with just 10 games to go. We need to make up 17 points in 10 games, so averaging around 1.7 points per game is definitely a possible target, but we do have some pretty tricky games in there. We don't mind that though. We've been good against the good teams, but against bad teams like Burton Albion, who are last place in the table with just 27 points, we think we have a pretty good chance of winning this match. If we can, that brings it down to just 14 points needed from 9 games, so things are starting to heat up, and it's looking likely that we can get the record. We actually scored after 5 minutes. Danny Ings with the first shot of the game, blasting it straight through their goalkeeper. Nothing would really happen until the latter half of the game as well. 75 minutes gone, Danny Ings would beat a defender, burst into the box, and slot one into the far post. We still wanted one of Ings and McCormack to be top scorer, so of course this is a great opportunity for us to maybe rack up some more goals and make things a bit more likely. We get a corner in the last 5 minutes, we hit the crossbar, we can't quite get the rebound, but it's fine. The win was more important than a third goal. We give the ball away at the end, and the referee confirms we have in fact got that win. We have 5 games to go, and we've got 1 or maybe 2 games left that we can still lose, but of course there's one team that's going to be extra motivated to try and beat us. Our next match is against Reading themselves. They've got a decent defence, but let's be honest, Grealish, Ings, McCormack and Adama Traore is going to be too strong for almost any team in this league. You might have noticed that our points per game has in fact dropped over the past couple of matches, and that's just because we played some of the tougher teams that were also fighting for the playoffs. We know that if we win this match, we need 8 points from the last 4 games to break that record that Reading have. It did feel like they had extra motivation in this match because they were defending really well. Even though they were making a few blunders like that one, we couldn't actually force them to pay for their mistakes. They were playing it out from the back, and that's always a bad idea on FIFA 17, especially when you're against a better team, and especially when the weather is rainy. For some reason, the ball basically doesn't move in the rain, and it becomes so easy to intercept almost every pass. I do love some of the defensive scrambles you get on these older FIFA games, and we just about come out with the ball right there, Ollie Watkins using his pace to get in the way. But like we said at the start, Reading were extra determined to try and stop us from winning. They didn't really have anything to play for, but it seemed like they were trying as hard as they could to get a goal themselves. Into the last few minutes, Jack Grealish would spot Micah Richards running through the middle. I have no idea why he was up there, but that goal is going to probably be the one that means we can break the record. If we'd have drawn this game, getting 10 points from 4 games is very tough, 3 wins and a draw, but getting 8 points is very, very doable. Of course, we park the bus. We do not want Reading to score here, and thankfully their cross is cleared away. We get yet another last-minute winner, and somehow we are still in this challenge. If we look at the table, that was also the game that we officially confirmed we were champions, but there was no animation because FIFA 17 doesn't do that until the last game of the season. Anyway, we played against Fulham next. For some reason, this was a lot easier than the Reading game. We won 3-1, a nice finish from Danny Ings yet again. We had another derby, but this time against Birmingham coming up next. We were now on 102 points, and we would beat Birmingham. We would play against Blackburn. We would draw against them, and can you believe it? That means we've got one more match, and we are on the record amount of points. We just need to draw this one, and we can get to 107. If we win, we get 109 and absolutely smash it. But Brighton are another very decent team. Last day of the season, we've won the league ages ago, but this team and how they're playing deserves to get this record. 107 points is a lot, but players like Jack Grealish, who's now 79 overall, we've brought him up from 71 to 79 in a single season. Absolutely crazy. It's going to be so important if we can get 107. Bruno Saltor was one of those championship legends when he was at Brighton, and his cross means we are now back down to 106 points. We need a goal, otherwise we are not getting this record. Adama Traore cuts inside, gives it to Danny Ings, and there's the goal we needed. Back up to 107 points. Can we get one more goal? Can we get to 109? We scored so many big goals late on in games on FIFA 16 and FIFA 15. Is it about time that we do the same on FIFA 17? Well, here comes Adama Traore, and yet again, can you believe it? Liam Rosinya gives away another penalty. Not a red card this time, but Adama Traore's cross was going off the other side of the pitch. He brings him down, and McCormack knows how to score penalties. We did the change side thing that worked last time, but it's a great save from the Brighton goalkeeper. Still, we get a corner. Can Okore score? No, he can't. And we had someone following it in at the back post. We've now only got seconds to try and get to 109, but we're going to finish on 107 points. We're champions, we're in the Premier League, and we have officially broken that record. It's a shame we couldn't get to 109, but by winning the championship, we're going to get some insane job offers for FIFA 18. Let me know what team you would head to. We've got offers from Ajax, Liverpool, Manchester United, loads of teams want us, and we might even just stay at Aston Villa. Let me know what you would do. Here's the final table confirming we got 107. Newcastle in second place, 15 points behind us, back on 92. Just 3 losses all season. This was so fun. I love FIFA 17, and hopefully you enjoyed this video too. Thanks for watching. Really do appreciate it. Cheers and goodbye.